Okay, next we're going to be looking at what is called a histogram, which is essentially just kind of like a bar graph. And this shows a way of how data is distributed. So if we're looking at distribution, we're probably going to be looking at a histogram. And there's different types of distributions of data that we can be looking at, and we're going to go through some of these. So the first type of distribution that we will look at is symmetric. And symmetric distributions look like mirror images when you draw a vertical line down the middle. So if you look at each of these in this symmetric group, if you draw a line in the middle of each of these graphs, they should essentially look the same on both sides of that line. And we see how on all of these, they kind of start low, go up, and then go back down. So they all kind of look the same on both sides of this line. And that would be a symmetric distribution. Skewed distributions have more data on one side than the other. They will have a long, narrow tail on one side of the graph. They're not symmetrical because they're not the same on both sides. The side with the tail is the side where the skew is. So if you look at these graphs, they kind of start low, and then they go up, and then shoot right back down at the end. There's more data that's over on the kind of the right side of this graph, which means that the tail, where the graph is short for a long period of time, shows you the skew. So this is a left skewed because the tail is at the left side. Same with these other two. They are low here on the left side, and then they go up on the right side, and so we would say they are a left skew. Same thing here. It's low here on the left side, and then it goes up on the right side. This would be a left skew. And then for right skews, these are ones that are going to be starting up higher and then going down, so the tail is on the right side. This would be a right skew. Same thing here. It goes up right away and then goes down towards the right side, so this would be a right skew. And finally, this one here starts up towards the top, goes down to the right, and so this would be a right skew. Okay. A uniform distribution is a set of data that has equal or nearly equal numbers, so the graph looks like a rectangle rather than a curve. And so if it's uniform, that means that it's more or less going to all be the same height. It doesn't have to be exactly, but it's pretty close to just all being the same height, like these ones are here. So these ones would be called uniform. So looking at these different histograms down below, we're going to be saying if they are symmetric, skewed, or uniform. So let's see. This first one looks like I kind of start low and then it goes up high to the right. So this one is going to be skewed because it's not symmetric, it's not the same on both sides. It's not flat where they're all kind of the same height. This one is going to be skewed. And the tail, the part where it's shortest, is on the left, so I would say this is left skewed, or you could say it's skewed left. Okay. Then if I look at this graph, let's see. It starts low, goes up, kind of in the middle, and then it goes back down. So this one, if you draw a line right in the middle, it more or less looks the same on both sides. It's not exactly the same on both sides, but it's pretty close to being the same on both sides. So we would say that this is symmetric. You could say it maybe has a slight skew because it's not exactly the same, but it's pretty close to the same on both sides. So we would say it's symmetric. And then let's look at this one here. Again, we start at the bottom, it goes up kind of in the middle, and then it goes back down as we go to the right. So this one, again, I would say is pretty symmetric. It looks pretty much the same on both sides of the middle. So I'd say this is symmetric. Okay. Now this next one is a little bit tricky. We can tell that it's not symmetric. It doesn't go up and then down like that. So we can tell it's not symmetric. It doesn't start either low on the left and then go up, or the opposite. It doesn't really start at the top and then go down. This one to me looks like it's more uniform. Even though they're not all exactly the same height, we do have a lot of them that are that same height. So this one I would say is uniform. because they are mostly all that same height. It doesn't really go up or down. Kind of the same thing with this next one. We don't really go up and then down. We don't really start high and then go down, or start low and then go up. This one, they're more or less at the same height around here, so I would say this one is uniform. Okay, we've got just a couple more left. This one looks like we start at the top and then we start going down as we go to the right. So this one would be skewed. And again, the tail or the short end of it is on the right side. So I would say this is skewed right. Okay, number 7. As I look at this graph, it looks like we go up towards the middle and then it goes back down. So if I put a line through the middle, it looks more or less the same on both sides. I would say this one is symmetric. And finally, number 8. This graph looks like it kind of starts low and goes up to the right. So this one is skewed because it's not the same on both sides of the middle. We have a lot more higher over here and then lower over here. So I would say that's skewed, not symmetric. And the short end is the left side. So I would say this is skewed to the left. Okay. So this next section is practice. You just need to tell me, is it skewed, uniform, or symmetric? And then a little more descriptive on this page down here. So the next 2 pages are for you to do as your own practice. Again, if you need help, let me know, and I will be happy to answer any questions.